Chosen one. There is a weight in this moment that is different from every moment that came before it. You may not be able to name it yet, but something in you recognized it the instant this found you. Not because you went looking, because you were found. And being found, after everything you have been carrying, is not something that happens by accident. It is a divine appointment, and divine appointments carry a meaning that ordinary moments do not. So, before we go any further, I need you to do one thing. Stop whatever else is happening around you, not for long, just long enough to receive what this hour is carrying, because what I am about to tell you has been tried before, not by me, by God. Four times before this night, or this morning, or this quiet moment you are sitting in right now, God reached toward you with something specific, not a vague blessing, not a distant hope, something specific, something tailored, something designed to break through the exact layer of silence that has been covering your life. And four times, for reasons this message is going to help you understand, the fullness of that breakthrough did not land the way it was meant to. It reached you, but it did not fully arrive. Not yet. This is the fifth time. This is the final one. And the reason it is the final one is not because God has grown impatient. It is because you have grown ready. There is a difference between those two things that this entire message will help you see. Stay with me until the very end of this, because three things are going to happen in your spirit before this is finished. First, you are going to understand why the previous four attempts felt incomplete and what God was actually doing in each one of them. Second, you are going to receive something specific, a way of standing in the door this time, fully, without flinching, without retreating, without repeating the pattern that caused the door to close before. And third, something is going to be spoken over your life at the end of this message that I believe was the real reason this found you today. There was a moment, maybe years ago, maybe a decade, that lives in your memory differently from other memories. It does not sit quietly like the rest. It surfaces. It comes back. Usually late at night, or in the still space between sleep and waking, or when the world has gone quiet enough for you to finally hear what you have been trying not to hear. You know the moment I am talking about. You have always known it. It was the first time God tried to reach you with what this message carries tonight. It was not loud. That is the thing about the first attempt. It is never loud. It arrives as a whisper, a pull towards something you could not explain, a dream that felt too real to be just a dream, a door that seemed to open on its own in a season when you were not expecting any doors. You felt it. You knew it was something. But you were young in ways that had nothing to do with your age. Young in readiness. Young in the understanding of how divine invitations work. And so the pull arrived, and something in you leaned toward it, and then something else, something older, something louder, said not yet, not now, not you. And the door remained where it was, and life continued. And you told yourself you would come back to it. You told yourself the opportunity would return. You filed the whisper under things I will deal with when I am ready, and you went back to what was familiar. This was not failure, chosen one. This was the first conversation in a language you had not yet learned to speak. In the book of Genesis, there was a young man whose name was Joseph, and the first attempt on his life came in the form of a dream. Two dreams, in fact. Dreams so vivid, so specific, so layered with meaning that when he spoke them out loud, even those closest to him could not receive them. His brothers heard those dreams and felt threatened. His father heard them and was troubled. And Joseph, at 17, speaking the language of his destiny before he had the vocabulary to guard it, became the youngest person in the room to carry the oldest kind of calling. The first attempt did not produce the palace. It produced the pit. It produced betrayal and confusion and the specific kind of silence that falls when you thought someone understood you, and it turns out they did not. But Joseph was not thrown into the pit because the calling was wrong. Joseph was thrown into the pit because the calling was so right that the forces around him felt the magnitude of it before he did. And what felt like the failure of the first attempt was actually the beginning of the preparation. This is what I need you to hear about the first time God tried to reach you. Whatever happened when that first door appeared in your life, whatever made you pull back or step away or tell yourself it was not really for you, that was not the end of the story. That was page one. And page one of a great story always looks like the wrong beginning. Think about the specific texture of what you felt when that first attempt arrived. The courage it took just to lean toward it. The hope that flickered even before you fully understood what you were hoping for. The way something in your chest moved, some quiet authority that you had not heard before, saying, "This is real, this is yours, this is where you are supposed to go." That movement in your chest was not imagination, that was recognition. And recognition is not random. Recognition is the soul responding to its own reflection. What you recognized in that moment was a portion of your own destiny placed before you by the one who designed it, testing whether you were ready to carry it. You were not fully ready yet. That is not an accusation. It is simply true. The version of you that existed in that first attempt was a version who had not yet walked through enough to understand what the invitation was really asking. And God, who designed both the invitation and the one receiving it, knew exactly what still needed to happen before the fullness of the fifth attempt could land. He placed that first attempt not to produce the outcome, but to plant the seed, to put the idea of the thing into the soil of your spirit, where it would grow in seasons you could not see. And it has been growing, through every confusion, through every delay, through every moment, when you wondered if God had forgotten your name, through every season that looked like nothing, but was quietly, invisibly, producing in you the exact character, the exact depth, the exact readiness that this final attempt requires. The seed planted in the first attempt has been growing all along, and what you are receiving tonight is the harvest of what the first attempt began. This is not a new story. This is a very old story reaching its proper conclusion. Let me tell you about the capacity that formed in you during the long space between the first attempt and where you are standing right now, because this is important. The years between the first call and the final one are not wasted years. They are formation years. And formation is not passive. Formation is the most active thing God does in a life. Formation is when He reaches into the material of who you are and presses and shapes and removes and adds until what was unformed becomes what was always intended. You learned things in those years that cannot be learned any other way. You learned patience at a depth that people who received their breakthrough early do not carry. You learned the specific kind of faith that survives not just trial, but repeated trial. You learned that what God says is true, even when what you see contradicts it. You learned to hear the whisper when the crowd is loud, and to feel the presence when the room is empty. These are not small lessons. These are throne room lessons, and they are only produced in the wilderness. The Hebrew word in the sacred text for what happened between Joseph's pit and his palace is a word that most translations render as visit or attend to. The original word is pakad, and pakad does not simply mean a casual visit. It means to mark, to register, to remember, with the intention of acting. It means God had written your name in a specific place, in a specific season, with the intention of returning to fulfill everything that name was written for. When the scripture says God remembered Joseph, the word beneath the translation is pakad. He had not forgotten, he had marked, and the time for the mark to be fulfilled had arrived. Your name is marked. It has been marked since before the first attempt, and the delay between the marking and the fulfillment is not evidence of forgetting, it is evidence of preparation. The length of your wilderness is proportional to the weight of your assignment, and the specific shape of your preparation is perfectly matched to the specific dimensions of the door you are about to walk through. This is the truth about the first attempt, chosen one. It was not failure, it was planting. And everything that grew from that planting, every lesson, every formed character, every deepened capacity, has been leading to this exact moment. The 5 attempts are not 5 separate chances. They are 5 movements in a single symphony. And you could not hear the final note until all the other movements had been played. Type Amen below if your spirit just confirmed what it already knew. There is something in the second and third attempts that most people never fully understand. They look at those seasons and they see repetition. They think, this has happened before. I have been here before. The door appeared again and something went wrong again. And the interpretation they carry forward is that they are somehow defective, that the repeated pattern is evidence of their unworthiness, that God keeps trying and keeps being disappointed. This interpretation is not only inaccurate, it is the specific lie that was designed to prevent you from receiving the 5th attempt. Because if you believe that the repetition reflects divine frustration, you will approach the final attempt already half defeated. You will walk into the door already bracing for the close. And a chosen one approaching their breakthrough with a posture of bracing is not yet positioned to receive what the breakthrough is carrying. The second attempt came when your readiness had grown from the first season but had not yet reached what was needed. And so God came again, not in frustration, in faithfulness. This is who he is. He is the God of the second attempt, the God of the third attempt, the God who tries as many times as it takes, not because he is desperate, but because he is certain. He knows what is planted in you. He knows what was designed for you before you drew your first breath. And he will keep approaching until what was designed and who is ready finally meet in the same moment. Think about what the second attempt produced in you that the first one did not. Think about the specific layer of understanding that only arrived after you had experienced the first cycle of reaching and retreating. The second attempt found a different version of you, not fully ready, but closer, and it produced something the first attempt could not have produced in you, because you were not yet the person who could produce it. It produced the beginning of discernment. The first time the door appeared, you did not fully know yourself. The second time it appeared, you had begun the lifelong work of knowing yourself. And that work, that specific and sacred work of knowing who you are in God, is the prerequisite for everything the final attempt carries. The third attempt came with a different kind of weight, because by the third attempt, you had begun to carry the fatigue of repeated reaching. The first attempt had the freshness of the beginning, the second had the hope of the return. But by the third, you were tired in a way that was deeper than physical tiredness. You were tired in the spirit. And God, who knows every layer of your tiredness, brought the third attempt not despite that tiredness, but into it. He chose that specific season, that specific state, that specific moment of near exhaustion to try again. Not to add weight to what you were carrying, but to show you something about what you are made of. And here is what the third attempt revealed. Under the fatigue, under the confusion, under the accumulated weight of wondering why the pattern kept repeating, there was something that would not be extinguished, something that kept saying yes, something that kept turning toward the door, even when every natural instinct said you had already been through this and it had not worked. That thing that would not be extinguished, that persistent and stubborn and holy yes, that is not a personality trait. That is a divine deposit. That is the specific signature of a chosen one who has not yet received the fullness but will not stop reaching for it. There is a woman in the book of Esther whose entire story is built on the language of being positioned for a specific moment. Before Mordecai sent her the word that shaped everything, she was living quietly inside a palace that she had not chosen. She had been elevated to a position of proximity to power, but she had not yet used that proximity. She was present, but not yet activated. She was close, but not yet deployed. And then the moment arrived, not as a gentle invitation, as a weight, as an impossibility, as the kind of request that makes every sensible part of you want to retreat. And Mordecai said to her, "What God has been saying to you across these 4 attempts? Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Not maybe you, not possibly you, not here is an option if you are feeling brave. But who knows, which in the language of the sacred text carries the weight of it, is almost certain. It is written, it is the only explanation for everything that led to this moment." What Esther carried into that impossible room was not confidence. It was consecration. She had fasted. She had prepared. She had done the interior work that prepared her to carry the exterior assignment. And when she walked in as someone who had been made ready by the very journey she had questioned. The second and third attempts made you ready in ways you cannot fully see yet. They built in you a depth of consecration that could not have been built any other way. They produced in you a capacity for holy stubbornness, a refusal to let go of what you were called to, even when the evidence suggested that the calling was not coming through. They stripped away certain things that would have contaminated the fullness of what the 5th attempt carries. Certain pride, certain dependence on external validation, certain need to be seen and understood by people who were never assigned to understand you. What feels like loss across those seasons is actually lightening. You were made lighter by what you laid down, and lighter is exactly what you need to be to carry what is coming. There are people who watched you in those seasons and made interpretations about what the delays meant. They saw the reaching and the returning, and they concluded that it was not working, that maybe the vision was not real, that maybe you were building on the wrong foundation, and something in you heard their interpretations even when you did not want to. Something in you absorbed their conclusions even when you resisted them. And those absorbed conclusions became a layer of doubt that sat quietly in the deepest part of your spirit, waiting for the next attempt to arrive so it could whisper, "Again? You are doing this again?" That voice is not wisdom. That voice is not discernment. That voice is not even your own voice. It is the accumulated weight of other people's conclusions about a story they were never given access to read. The full story. The story that includes why the first attempt planted, why the second and third formed, and why everything that looked like delay was actually divine choreography pointing toward a specific moment, the moment you are in right now. What you are about to hear, you should hear directly, without layers, without the building of mystery for the sake of anything other than truth. Because what the second and third attempts were producing in you, at a frequency level that the sacred texts identify and that certain ancient preserved traditions have known about for millennia, has a specific name, and there is a path that has been built precisely for those who feel what you feel, those who have been formed by repeated reaching, those whose child mind, the part of them that still believes, the part that has never stopped hoping even when everything else got tired, is still alive under all the weight. That frequency, the one that kept saying yes when everything else was saying stop, is a gamma wave dominant state, what the Western contemplative sound traditions, the monastic chant communities, the builders of sacred acoustic spaces, protected for centuries as the child mind frequency. The ancients knew that every human being is born with this frequency dominant, curiosity without ceiling, wonder without boundary. The instant absorption of a child who has not yet been told that certain things are too hard for them. What modern instruments now